Here we are in the middle of May 2021, immersed in this awful pandemic, third wave, and a major lockdown. And Canadians are on the move. We are leaving the city, going to the Maritimes, a lot of us, going to Northern Ontario, a lot of us, some of us going west. This isn't the first time this happened. Those of us that were born after the war, the baby boomers, we also, when we came of age, we also hit the road. We kind of went in the other direction, many of us at least, and I was one. I came to Cabbagetown, came to the city, Don Vale in particular, and a group of us, some came from Winnipeg, some came from Montreal, some from the United States because of the Vietnam War, some came from the Maritimes to find work, some came from Vancouver, but Toronto was the hub. And we we had created lives for ourselves. We had careers, marriage, had some kids. And last month, a bunch of us got together on Zoom and kind of reminisced about life in Don Vale. There's going
I
to be
think
a lot of old friends getting together today, I think.
old is the key word.
Yeah, I'm afraid
Oh,
so.
don't play the age card. Come on, guys. Jeez.
But
Life in our little community was a lot different back in the 1990s. The local kids went to local schools, Winchester, Sprucecourt. We'd see each other on the street. The families would socialize. It was just like a small town. And one day, one of our great neighbors and her son had this inspiration to start a baseball league. And it kind of got going like this.
Simon wanted to play on some team, either soccer or baseball. And then I came home, saw our field at Sprucecourt, and said, and Steve loved baseball. Simon loved baseball. I talked with Sprucecourt, and that was the beginning. And then my favorite story is Judy at the farm suggested we needed an umpire. And she suggested Mark from the co-op on Metcalf, who still lives there and who still walks up and down Parliament Street, he was absolutely wonderful. That's it. And he still calls me in the street commissioner.
When it started, Betty, I had recently become a single mother, and it was a very difficult time with two kids and feeling very alone. And this opportunity to go across the street to Sprucecourt on a spring evening and stand with other parents and watch our kids on teams, all the neighborhood kids, all sizes and shapes and colors.
But Christina, being the sole player, we'd like your perspective in the middle of all of this adult stuff.
You know what? I don't have a lot of memories of actually playing baseball. I just remember, like, I think it was Tuesdays or Thursday evenings, and we would all get together, and I just remember it being time to just go and hang out in the field and kind of roam without our parents directly watching us. Like, we could go be on the playground or on that sloped hill, or there was just a freedom to it that was really nice. And to be with your friends and just run around. You know, that's where a lot of us had like our first dates.
Really?
What?
I held a boy's hand for the first time at a baseball game. I know.
Oh my.
Scandalous.
It's an important memory.
I'm horrifying my son right now. I hate baseball. He's now been turned against baseball. But yeah, it was good. I remember like picking wildflowers in the fields with Jake because neither of us really were interested in catching any of the balls. And I think my mom was commissioner for a little while, so that was added work that we had to help her get everything there. But other than that, yeah, just really good memories of hanging out, and like we all still talk. So I think you all did really well raising us to be a community, and I think we've all taken that into our new communities.
As Christina just said, there was a lot going on at these games. Everybody saw a different game as it was unfolding. And I know that when my daughter was playing, she and her good friend Anna, who we'll hear about shortly, they were two of the better players. I could say that quite objectively, of course. But in this particular sequence, this hit, I'm pretty sure this is how most of us saw the hit. This same home run, this is what Aaron heard.
John Delay, a swing and a belt, left field, way back, touch 'em all. You'll never hit a bigger home run in your life.
But the other memory was that Anna told me this morning that she said most of us were not competitive, you know, and she was on Duncan's team, and she said we were probably the least competitive. And her memory is that one of the other teams was very competitive, the coach, and she came up to bat at a very fraught moment. The bases were loaded; they were down, you know, 2 or 3 points. And when she came up to bat, the coach of this other team pulled in all of his people from the outfield very, very close to where he was standing. And Duncan came over to her and he said, "Don't worry, just relax, be yourself, have a good time." And she swung that bat and it went way into the outfield. And she had a grand slam. Everybody came home. And she said, you know, if the outfielders had been where they're supposed to be, it wouldn't have worked. But because, you know, she was underestimated, it's just a wonderful memory.
And it started small, I think probably with the Tuesdays and Thursdays. And but eventually it became, I think, 4 nights a week. And so from the beginning of May till the end of June, 2 full months, there were these amazing things happening in the neighborhood all those nights. As Beth was talking as well, the social side, because there were many, and Christina too, because there were many things going on. There were things around the edges, a lot of stuff happening on the track itself that weren't part of the baseball. And both fields were in play. So they were there were these overlapping parts in the middle where balls could potentially get to. And so the potential for some chaos was always there, but it was totally just taken in stride.
I'm sure some are going to talk about the spirit of between the kids, the collaboration that went on during the games. I had a player maybe in the first or second year. David was his name, and he only had use of one arm, and so kids would run for him because he couldn't run. But God damn, he could hit with that damn thing. Yeah. I mean, the hitting was no problem. It was the running, but there was always Christina or Aaron or Alexa or somebody standing there willing to run for him. It was pretty impressive. That
I did want to add a little bit to that story about David, Duncan, because David I knew a little bit. David David was an adopted boy being raised by a single mother on Carlton Street, somewhere around Homewood. And if you remember, it wasn't just that he had one arm that he couldn't use properly, but he had a major hemangioma in his head. And his mother was absolutely terrified that something would happen. You see, the ball would hit him, or he'd fall or something, and this thing would bleed, and that would cause major damage to David. He hit pretty well with that one hand, as I remember, if the pitcher put it pretty close. And I do remember Beth's Anna. I can remember Anna. Beth is saying she wasn't competitive. I saw her as being quite competitive, actually, and very outspoken, which was fun for me. I loved it. I am probably in the competitive group. Unfortunately, I'll have to admit that. And my vision, my initial vision, I guess, with Betty was that it would be a little bit competitive. Somewhere along the line, I hope somebody will remember this. We got the merchants to supply sweaters.
Yeah,
That's right.
All the teams had sweaters. I didn't do it,
Each one.
but suddenly they were surfaced, and everybody on a team had a sweater, and I think a hat as well, which sort of added to the fun of it, if you like. And if I admit to my competitiveness, I would say I don't want to say resigned to the idea, but I think it inevitably flowed that it was just for fun.
I was just before you joined in, I was just wondering when I was looking through that incredible binder you lent to me. I was amazed. I was amazed at the detail that went into organizing this. I had no idea. Amazing.
Actually, the league continued after I gave it up with Joanne Pettigrew. We had barely enough money to cover the cost of pictures and shirts. The sponsors paid for the shirts, but we also had fees for permits with the school board, because the school board had started permitting it. And we paid Mark. I can't remember how much we paid Mark, but I think we paid Mark an honorarium or something, because he was there all the time. Not only was there, I really relied on him. He was the one who went and got the equipment out. We were storing it at, what's the name of the fellow he died?
Len Cunningham.
Yeah, he went and got the equipment out, put it in place, and then he collected it afterwards and got it back to Len's house. He was amazing. I also found it was amazing because he was a good umpire. Like, when you think about what an umpire has to do, keeping track of where the runners are on the bases and which are balls and which are strikes and how many balls and strikes there are and all the rest of it. I couldn't have done it then. And here he was doing it, as far as I could say, completely competently. And the only complaint I got from parents was that he shouted at the little kids. So when you were out, it was, you were out. and it was really loud, and it terrified some of the younger kids.
It's just a prime example of what community can do together. The idea is great, but there's got to be somebody to keep it going, people to do that tedious work of figuring out this and doing that. And, and as you're saying, if the parents are too busy, it doesn't happen. So thanks so much to Sally, to Betty, to all of you who kept it. It's a lot of work, and it's invisible. No one is there saying bravo to people who are ticking the boxes. But it's obviously, as we've heard, it's made such a difference to the lives of our kids.
Don Vale Baseball, the field of fun. Now, Betty White and her son, they love to have some fun, so the soccer game was where they went to play. Simon, he could kick the ball, he'd run around, he'd trip and fall, on the muddy ground was where his body lay. Well, as they were driving home, she'd hear him groan, she'd hear him moan, to get in shape, there must be a better way. So Betty said, there is, dear son, it's a friendly game for everyone. We'll start a baseball league in early May. Well, they went to town, looked upside down, here and there and all around, and wondered who would pay the start-up bill. Betty said, we'll ask and plead, for cash we need, it is agreed. Bats and balls is an order we must fill. We'll spread the word, news will be heard. Mums and dads and kids alike, this is the game. We'll welcome one and all. The kids will play and laugh real loud. Exciting games will draw a crowd. Mark the ump will yell, play ball! Oh, the games were played, no one kept score. Memories were made, the crowds they roared. We often wondered what the heck was going on. Confusion often reigned supreme. The batters, they would let off steam. The outfielders would stand and scratch and yawn. Now the Toronto Blue Jays can't match the skill in any game, they never will, as demonstrated by the Don Vale teams. The Jays, they scratch and spit and yawn. The games go on and on and on. They make dumb plays that make you want to scream. One day a fielder made a play, a beauty move just like ballet as the runner rounded first at a speedy pace. The ball was hit, the ball was caught. The astonished fielder thought and thought, just stood and gaped, staring into space. The runner didn't pay attention. We think someone forgot to mention. When Mark yells out, the play is over. That's all. Well, the hitter kept him moving fast, ran past Mark, who was aghast. Once again, a Don Vale player ignored his call. T-ball was fun, though a tad absurd. Bats were flailing, a few laughs were heard. Occasionally, they'd actually hit the ball. The league, it ran for many years. All players were welcome, let's make that clear. Eventually, it began to fizzle out. The mums, they were the ones that made this happen. The dads took the credit, all the clapping, but the memories was what it was all about. Don Vale Baseball, Field of Fun.